All right,
Sick.
we're back. We're back.
Let's
Kelvin, this is
go.
our 30th GPOD. This is
Oh,
big
really?
30. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
big
What an
30.
honor.
So thank you so much for coming on. Today, guys, we have Kelvin Wong, Sol Kendamas
What
pro,
up?
10-year Kendama veteran. Kelvin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to talking about a lot of stuff that like I've been wanting to talk about and
Hmm.
also excited for next week, Atlanta, seeing you guys.
Yep.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
real quick. I'm actually not going to Atlanta. I don't know if you knew that, but
Oh, okay, no worries. It's
yeah,
just you, Zach?
Yeah.
yeah,
Nick's staying in Asia for
Okay,
the
word.
Kendama Open.
yeah,
But I'm
Oh, oh,
stoked for
really?
ATLO.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
bought my flight to ATLO, but yeah, things changed and I'm staying
Hmm,
in Japan now. So yeah,
word.
but
All good.
good
I'm
luck.
actually like I don't know if you know this. Like I haven't told many people. I'm coming to Japan in the winter too.
You are?
Woo.
Yeah, like from December 9th to December 17th.
Nice. Pop swag.
Yeah, so I don't know if yeah, hopefully. I talked to Rin about it and like she's currently unsure and she like told me to ask Kyo. So like I haven't done that yet. So I'm just gonna hope that it's happening, but if not, then like I'm totally fine with like a chill like vacation,
Nice,
meet up
nice,
with like a few soul homies.
nice.
So
So what's the main? You weren't going for a competition. You were just thinking going to hang out.
um like yeah, I was just like it's a win-win either way. If I go, like, pop swag, but if I don't go, then I'll just like, like a nice little week like vacation. So, yeah. I
By
totally don't
yourself?
mind at all. Yeah, by myself.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, I mean, I heard that last time I was talking about Pop Swag, it was the 14th and 15th of December. So,
14, 15.
I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure, yeah,
Okay.
it'll happen until you'll make it. Yeah.
Hmm. Word,
Nice.
word.
Sweet. Sweet. Yeah, that's really exciting. And I'd love to talk to you about the recent Japan trip you just had later on. But for
Hmm.
those
Yeah.
who don't know your origin, and I think a lot of us would like to
Hmm.
know about how you started playing Konama, where you're from, how you got into it, just the
Yeah.
starting stages of Kelvin Wong as a player.
I got you. So I like started in 2014, which is kind of like when, Konami started gaining traffic,
Hmm.
especially in the US. Um, I joined at a time where like, especially like in Vegas, it was picking up heavily. That's when like Dave and Kev were getting more involved with the scene. So like it was like sixth grade, middle school, and like like I saw bits of like Konami here and there at my school, but like it was mainly like in my gym class where like we had like time before like actual gym class, and then people would just be playing, and like everybody else, who started Konami, like I also thought it was dumb too at first,
Hmm.
but then like I did my first big cup, and I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. So I bought like a tribute, like yeah, Cook's custom tribute like in November, and like the rest is like kind of history. And like it's funny because like my first like sighting of kendama was like that, Ryan Higa video from back then, Kendama Toy in
Yeah.
2013. And that's when like kendama like first got introduced to like Vegas because he was living in Vegas. So like somehow he got the link to like kendama. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well.
but I joined during the time like like Dave was like getting more and more involved with the scene, and Kevin was also like coming up as well.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so real quick, I know you started in Vegas, but I know you moved to Wisconsin at some
Hmm.
point, right?
Yeah, so I moved to like Wisconsin like a few months later. Um, just like I moved with my mom, and I lived in Wisconsin for 3 years, and like uh I didn't really like link up with any Konami players during that time, but that's when like I went to my first MKO. So
Wow.
like, I was like I'm literally yeah, because like where I lived was 2 hours away from Minneapolis. So
Hmm.
I like took the opportunity and like I was like, hey dad, like can we go to like MKO? Because like I was during that time for like November 2014 to like I guess like the following year, like I was like getting more and more involved, like seeing all the edits, seeing like all like the prominent figures, and
Hmm.
like I was born in Minnesota, and like
Well,
Sweets is from Minnesota, so I wanted to visit one day. So 2015 MKO, well, that was my opportunity. So that was like my first like big event.
Yeah. And that was your so that would be that being your first big event. What division did you compete in that time? Did you compete?
And yeah, I did intermediate like during that time.
Nice. And that was a speed ladder back
So like it was speed letter back then, yeah. And
then.
I did not make it through. And I like that was very crushing, but it's all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's usually how the first some of the first comps go.
Yeah.
You don't really know. It could be
Yeah.
you get lucky going far,
hmm
or yeah, just get knocked out early. You don't really know what to
Yeah.
expect.
I got wrecked in
hmm
my first ever comp. I did
Yeah.
also intermediate speed ladder. Good times.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. I got wrecked. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and so
You know what's funny about
oh yeah.
oh sorry. I have like a funny story. Like at my first comp, like I also competed like in intermediate and like I literally like saw like Kevin. Like I knew who Kevin was. Like he was like right in front of me, but like I didn't say hi at all because I was just like so nervous
Mhm.
just like being there. So like I like when I first talked to Kevin when I got on the team, like he was like, "You were there?" I was like, "Yeah." It was like it was a really big event, like in the whole like course of Vegas history, it was like chilling, grilling too. So yeah, that was really
Mm.
funny. Like we met back then, but we didn't officially meet until like when I got on the team.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
It's a good okay, yeah,
hmm
nice. When you started kendama, what carried you
hmm
through? So you sound like everybody was playing in your school. You didn't you thought it was
hmm
pretty dumb at first, but it wasn't until you tried it that you were like, okay, this is cool. What
Yeah.
I'm
hmm
assuming did you play with a group of friends back then? And when did that trend die exactly?
Um, there was like a few like exceptionally good people at my school and like I would be like kind of like mixed in with them sometimes and I would see them at events but like it was when like I moved to Wisconsin that's like kind of like when it like died out like
Mm,
literally it was a very intense like rising up and then like a very intense like crashing out and like when I moved to Wisconsin that's like when like the next grade started and like everybody was like making fun of me back then because
Mm.
like it had died back in Vegas but like I still kept going in Wisconsin so like I didn't really have that influence of like oh like it's dead but like I had a ton of people telling me like oh like why are you still like playing like it's like totally dead and like that was like very annoying for like a few months just like listening to that but I was
Mm.
pretty solo like when I was in Wisconsin during that time.
okay. And then you moved to Wisconsin like a couple months after you found kendama for the first time. You actually got your own.
Yeah, yeah,
Early
like
20
like literally 6 months later.
okay, or
Mm.
2015?
I'm sorry? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think kept you in? Because you're solo, playing by yourself. You
hmm
don't along with I know you changed schools, so you weren't like influenced by the trend dying as much, but what do you think kept you interested? Because
Yeah.
you're playing as solo the whole time.
I think like I'm still a really big like edit head. Like, every time there's a new edit that comes out, like I always watch it. Like back then, like I consumed like so much like media. Like
Mm.
that's when I like, watched all like the initial Japan edits. That's when I watched like all like, the pro like edits for like Sweets and Kusa and all that. So like, during that time, like I was like playing, but like I think the most impactful part was like, watching all those edits and just like getting like really inspired. Like it was like a very like intense like exposure to like all of like, these famous people that have like made impact in the Kendama world.
Mm.
So I think I feel like that's what like kept me going back then. And obviously just like the thrill of like progressing because like progressing back then was just like amazing. Like landing like, like your first Earth turn and then like progressing more and more and more. So that's, and that still keeps me going today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach and I were big on edits, just watching them religiously for years and years when we were
Mhm.
coming up as well. I know the exact Konami edits you're talking
Yeah,
about, the Japan ones, the Konami USA,
of
Japan 2
course, yeah.
were just classics. Yeah, watch those a million
hmm
times. But would you also say that,
hmm
I mean, were you a part of any online communities as well that you had people to talk to or anything like that?
Um, Not really. I didn't even know like FKC was a thing and like, Downspike wasn't a thing until like 2017. So I was like primarily just like posting on Instagram and like I didn't really have any like Kanama friends besides the ones that I made in Vegas. So like I kind of just like really started from the ground up, and like somehow people found my tricks the more and more that I posted. So it was like kind of a stroke of luck, but eventually like when I went to like MKO 2015, that's when I like started meeting like the first few people that like I can call friends like today.
Mhm.
And you mentioned the impact
Mm,
of edits and how much of an influence they had and how much inspiration they gave you. What about in person?
mhm,
So you did mention your first event was MKL 2015. What was the first
mm.
in person memory that you of Kendama that really was that you can mark as like a really impactful moment in your journey early on?
I think like just walking into the room and seeing like how like big a kendama event could be, because like besides Cup, like that was like the event in the world, like MKO, like everybody came to Minnesota during that time, everybody from Japan and like some Europe people. So like seeing all of the people that like I've been seeing in these edits for like the past few months, and like seeing them in person was like incredibly like surreal. And like that's when I like first kind of got my exposure to Soul too, because during that time I was watching Soul edits, and like that's when like Cal, Will Shivey, Evan DeRuby, like Lyndon, like that's when the first team was there. So I got to experience like meeting them too, which is really dope. I met Shelton for the first time there, and like I think like a very like a very cool memory that like I always remember is just like I was just like randomly playing, like landed a trip lighthouse flip right in front of Cal Nasser, and he's just like, dude, let's go, and then like dapped me up. I was like, oh my God, like this is like so sick, and yeah,
Yeah.
now I've outlived the Cal Nasser.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good. He's an OG. He's an OG.
Yeah.
He still kind of
hmm
keeps up with Dama here and there. I mean, I see him like my post sometimes, so I think he's still keeping
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
When did you get on Soul exactly? So that was your first experience seeing the Soul team. When did you get on Soul?
I got on Soul like 2 years later, April of April 27th of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like when the edit first premiered with like the whole Soul Street team, like me, Alex, Jackson, and Peter. Like that's like when we all got like introduced to the world as like the new Soul members.
Dang.
Did you want to be
Mhm.
how? I mean, were you playing Soul? Were you repping really hard, or how did that come around?
Like before I got on the team, like the 8 months previous, I was repping like Soul pretty hard. Like I was like posting like tricks and tagging like the players that like I felt like the tricks were inspired by, tag like Ali in post, Lyndon, Chad, Kev in post. So like I felt like that I was doing the typical like routine that a sponsor player would normally do to get sponsored at the time. But it started like at LBKO 2016, and like when I first met Chad, and then from there I was like, okay, I think I do want to go for Soul. Like I like in my mind I was like, oh maybe it'd be cool to like, rep Terra for a little bit, and maybe it'd be cool to, like, do a few sweets posts, but like after that like first interaction with like Chad at LBKO, like I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like this is like the right way to go. So it took
Hmm.
8 months, but we like eventually got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What specifically drew you
Mhm.
to Chad and the Soul team at LVKO?
Uh, I feel like they just like gave me like the like attention and like the spotlight I kind of wanted, like
Yeah.
because I feel like Kanama players, there's like uh, um there's like this like kind of like surface level like interaction that you kind of get sometimes, like depending on who you talk to, especially back then. But like when I was talking to them, like I felt like like Chad and Kevin were like genuinely like interested in like hearing what like I like had to say and like what I wanted to do, and like my like Kendama journey, and that like kind of stuck out to me. And like on a personal level, like I like people who like give me the time of day like that, and
Mhm.
so like that like really impacted me, especially like being a kid, like it was like kind of hard like making friends back then. So
Yeah.
like having like these older dudes kind of be that like role model for me, and just be like like hey, like like we can show you the ropes. Like I felt like that was like really impactful for that for me.
Mm. Yeah, Zach and I are probably the exact same way. I remember meeting the Sweets team,
Hmm.
Tacoma Takeover
Hmm.
2014, and yeah, it's just always nice to have them to get that attention from people your inspirations and the pros you've been watching for a couple.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, sweet. It makes you feel really good, and then it also makes you want to
Hmm.
know them better, and it just yeah, it makes you want to become
Yeah,
better
of
friends with
course.
them. And yeah, I think that's what also drew us into Sweets back then too. So it's all
Hmm.
nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Opportunity for huge impact to be made from, yeah, exactly, sponsored players or these inspirational figures at events. Like even obviously today for sure.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think and now it's so cool. I mean, how you were one of those kids to take an inspiration from pros, and now you are one of those pros giving inspiration to so many. It's
Yeah.
really, really cool. I mean, you start and to even hear your story about MKO back then to
Hmm.
having interactions with the Soul team, just have it's kind of like that story with
Hmm.
the connection with Soulstar back there, all the way to connecting it to where you
Yeah.
are now. It's pretty amazing.
Hmm.
It's pretty amazing how and you've only been with Soul since 2017. It's been 7 years.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
impactful would you say? How has Soul impacted your Kendama journey? I mean, I'm sure you can talk about a ton of things, but what has been some main?
Yeah.
How has that switch? Do you think how's it pivoted your journey to what it is today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like if I didn't get on Soul, like I feel like I would not be playing Kendama today, in all honesty. I feel like, you know, like especially like Chad, he saw Chad and Kevin like back then, like they saw a lot of like potential that I had, and like it's nice like having somebody like look at you that way, and like it really kept me going. Like you know I only like competed in an open division for like a year or so, and I was like pretty nervous, and like I didn't have any experience at all. And like a few months after I got onto the team, Domina D 2017 happened, and that's when but that was like my first event with the team, and like I was like nervous, and like I had to travel with my dad because like I couldn't travel to events by myself, and like that event like really kind of set the standard for like the rest of my like career on Soul. I feel like it's just like I kind of knew like what to expect from them, like just like always like a warm welcome whenever I arrive. Like I know that I'm always gonna like have like great interactions with them, great like catch-ups. Like I think that like trip really made a huge difference to me. And then like just going down like like yeah, like especially like Kevin, like since moving back to Vegas, like all like we did back then was really just like play Kanama and like kind of like build the foundations of like how I compete and like how I view Kanama today.
Hmm.
So I feel like that like also made an impact too, like when I moved back as well. But it's mainly just like giving me the freedom to like explore whatever like I wanted to do, like whether it was like exploring new like competition techniques or like making like really experimental like designs for like Dama and merch and whatnot. Like I feel like that has fostered like a really great like um just like I feel like very ambitious now. Like can't I feel like I can like accomplish anything, if you get what I'm saying. Like with, being on the team.
Yeah.
Like I can't really see myself anywhere else.
Yeah. Huge shift in mindset. Huge shift in the
Hmm.
mindset since then. And it sounds like you learned a lot from you had great mentors within the Soul team. Sounds like you learned a lot from
Hmm.
um, Chad and Kevin specifically. I think you guys have a good connection there.
Hmm.
I'd like to dive into that. And we can talk about the
Hmm.
mindset, how it's evolved into what it is now. We can start out wherever you want to start, but I mean, you and Kevin both take competition very seriously. You have gone deep into tactics that will help you perform better. And I want to kind of
Hmm.
pick your mind about what's helped you get better along the way because, at the start, I don't think you were doing as well as you are right now, but now you're consistently getting top eights, placing a lot. You've come
Hmm.
a long, long way.
Hmm.
So I would love to get some insight on that.
Yeah, like it definitely starts from like that like dominant D. Like I I was like, pretty nervous, and then like Kevin, you know, came up to me like while I was just like, waiting by the stage, and like he told me like, "Hey, just, like literally take your time and just like just be like just have fun up there, you know?" And like that year, like I did the best I ever did in like an open competition, like since like starting. Like I got fourth place. I could have podium my first ever event, like since getting on Seoul, but I lost to Cooper. I think it was like 3-1. So, but and then like since then, like, since moving back, like I moved back from Wisconsin to Vegas in like 2018. So like we got like, much, much closer back then, just like jamming kendama a lot. And I feel like the next very impactful point was MKO 2018. That was like, like okay, like I've been on the team for a year, and like I'm starting to get my footing a bit with competition, like and like I literally saw the bracket like the day before, and I was like, Nick Sod. I'm going against Nick Sod first round of like, MKO 2018. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And like Kevin literally just like looks at me and he's just like, dude, it's just Nick Sod. Like just like take your time, and you never know what to expect, you know? You never really do. It's not like an immediate loss, like depending on like, who you go against, it really just depends on how the other person's feeling that day, how much the other person's practice, the prestige of the other player doesn't really matter. It's just, like in that moment in time, who can come out on top.
Right.
And like I remember just like that, like that's how like my breathing technique like started, is that like event in 2018.
Mm.
And like I went against Thought, and like, I don't know like what came over me, but I just like, because he said take your time, I was like, oh shit, like there's no time limit at all. So I could just like, just breathe. So like that's how the breathing started. And
Yeah.
somehow like I won against him 3-2. And like later that event, eventually I finished top 8, and I lost to Bryson like on the big stage at the Mall America. So
Wow.
but that, yeah, those are like the really two like critical points, is like Diamond D 2017 and then MKO 2018. And that kind of like set the standard for like how like I competed from there on out.
Hmm. So you kind of came into your own after those two events. That kind of, looking back, that's probably kind of how you became the competitor you are today. But yeah, to
Mm,
speak a little bit on your breathing technique, I mean, I'm not sure if
mm,
everybody knows what that is, but if we could just get a little recap on
yeah,
what exactly you mean by that, because it's very interesting. It's something very unique to you.
yeah. So like basically like, pull a trick, right? And then just like, okay, let's say like spike, whirly, late whirl. Okay. So, I just like close my eyes and just like internalize the trick, take a deep breath, and like during that whole entire time of like closing my eyes, I'm just like manifesting the trick. I'm like doing it over and over again in my head. And it used to take 30, 40 seconds. Like plenty of people have timed it. And um but yeah, that was how it was before. And then like I would, open my eyes and go do the trick. And it works pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. It works pretty well. People like in the Twitch chat or wherever can like complain about it, but it works completely well for me, and it has been working well since then. But EKC this year, I had to like change it because Tio implemented the shot clock, right? 15 seconds. And I was like, okay, like I think it's about time like that I like change it up a little bit, because I did notice that like, I have always been ready to do the trick. It's just like, the comfort of like breathing and closing my eyes that keeps my routine long. So if I can just like streamline it into like a consistent, repeatable routine, then like I think I can cut it down by like half. So like I literally spent like a few days, you know, mimicking like the environment of like EKC, and like I got it down to just like, close my eyes, breathe, tap my chest 5 times, open my eyes, and just do the trick. And not a single time did I go over the time limit for TO. And like yeah, like literally got top 8 also that event. one of the most stacked events of the year. So like I need to test it out at ATLO for sure. But I'm fairly confident, that it'll be the new standard for me, like going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. How one question that we actually had from Instagram, some person wanted to know what your honest feelings were about
Mhm.
the implementation of that rule. Because honestly, I'm pretty sure you implemented just because of your technique.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like like at battle, like there was definitely people that, took a lot of time and I think that they were inspired by me. But like in the Europe scene, I don't think that there's really anybody really doing that. So I feel like it was definitely catered towards me. And Tio talked about it with me, like um Battle 2023, but I couldn't go because of like passport troubles. So like I've been like mentally preparing that like, standards are gonna change. I couldn't keep doing this forever. So like it is like a really drastic change, but it was a welcome change now that like, I look back at UKC and like, how like well I did with the improved technique. So, but yeah,
Mm.
I don't feel mad about it. I'm honestly not mad about it now. And I like it is very considerate towards the event organizers to like, like save as much time as you can in different places. So, I was just like, yeah, like trying to be like considerate towards Tio. But initially, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a really big change. But now, like, I'm just like, okay, I accept it, and like now I have to like dial it down. So, like, I think that's gonna be like, yeah, the standard for me from now on.
Yeah,
Mm.
it sounds like you leveled up. Sounds like you leveled up and
Hmm.
yeah, saving the time and
Hmm.
you still are able to get the same results, with same type of results with the shorter time, which I think is a level up. Yeah, that's which is great. So it sounds
Yeah.
like you
Hmm.
continue with that 15-second
Hmm.
time frame for future
Yeah.
events. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it sounds like something that really helped you with your competitive journey is finding this routine on stage. And for you, it was this
Hmm.
breathing technique. And at first, it started being super long, and it's changed a little bit now. But I mean,
Yeah.
you found something very consistent that you can do on stage to kind of ground you, no matter where you are, no matter what setting you're in, whether to be practice or the stage. I mean, it's something that keeps you consistent. And so, would you say yourself that had a big hand in your performances uh, up until today? I mean, obviously you've gotten top eight a lot and placed a lot of times now. And I think, do you
Hmm.
think it's because you are able to find something that you can do consistently and rely on?
I definitely think so. I think that's like a really good word for it is like grounding. Like it also goes like beyond like the breathing technique. Like even like before I go up on stage, like I have like a whole like stretching routine that I do. Like, I like find like a quiet corner or whatever and like I like do like the same like stretching routine, like barring like, a few changes here and there. Like I've always like done that since yeah, like that event in 2018.
Yep.
So like wherever I go, like no matter the environment, I know that I can, if I implement like that stretching routine and if I just like, minimize the amount of like unpredictability as much as possible, then like, I can repeat the same kind of climate and atmosphere that I can for other like competitions, like no matter the place. Like it really also goes down to like, like the night before too, where I'm just like, like positive affirmations and just like, like really just like thinking about the competition and like what's gonna happen. But like I do a lot of things and like maybe some might be like superstitious in a way, but like, it really does like ground me to like, repeat
Yeah.
as many of the things as possible, like for every single competition.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, I find little things with myself too when I compete, whether it be little tricks within the trick, things that I don't want to
Mhm.
leave up to random chance on the stage. I want to have a technique for
Mhm.
it. I want to have a rhythm
Yeah.
for when I start and end the trick. You just want to find
Mhm.
the deeper you get into this, at least from my experiences, you keep finding little tricks to a trick or a little certain rhythm that you think you kind of resonate with, and it just helps
Yeah.
when you're in the moment actually competing on stage against somebody in real life. It just grounds you. Something about it just
Mhm.
keeps you mentally stable and lets you own your emotions and just be in control a lot more. And I think even when
Yeah.
you said with your new technique, you're not just breathing, you're closing your eyes, you're tapping your chest 5 times. And I know that's like
Hmm.
decided, that's something you keep consistent,
Yeah.
makes
Mhm.
everything a lot more, everything feels a lot more in control. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too, like when you go to competitions more often, you're traveling to the same competitions every year. So I know what to kind of expect when I go to like the same competition. Like even though this is my second time in KC, I'm like, okay, like I have a mental map of like the venue. I know who's gonna be there. I know like what people I could potentially go up against. And like even like, every opponent that like I've gone against in my open career, like I have like mental notes of like kind of like their ticks and like how they do tricks and what their specialties are and whatnot. Like it's a lot of like analysis for me. Like I like also like implement that too. Like if I know like, the same people that are going to the same events, like, I can also know what to expect if and when I do go against them.
Wow. Okay. So
Wow.
you're studying other people's performance. Do you write this down? Like, do you write? Do you,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no. It's kind of all in here. Like
Okay.
it's kind of just like a really like mental thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't want to expose this too much, but like what I will say is that like, um when I'm especially in open, when I pull the trick, like it's kind of like a poker tell, like, I look to see the other person's reaction and like even if they make like the slightest like I can tell like okay, this is not their like specialty trick. So I'm just like okay, I think I have a pretty good chance of getting a point here. So like it benefits you to have like a poker face, like that's why like I don't really show a lot of emotion like when I'm on stage too,
Yeah.
especially in open.
So basically, the takeaway from this is, hey, everybody, if you're playing Kelvin, he has notes on you. He knows you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's scary like going against someone like for the first time. Like and I've gone against you guys like, once or twice. But like, like if it's like someone that I've never gone against, I'm like, oh like well, I don't know what to expect. So it's like it's kind of nervy a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they okay, well now you're gonna have to take into consideration maybe people playing you are gonna be like looking at trick like, oh my god, it's like their best trick. Like, oh my God. And you're like, yes, yes.
Like they
You like look at him, you're like, yeah, you kind of like smirk a little bit, like, yeah, I got him for sure on this one. They're like, oh no, not this one. And it's just lace, lace, lace. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
Actually true. That's
that
true.
that could definitely be a new technique now. That's crazy though. Like I don't even like that's crazy talk. Like literally just like, oh man, and literally just like it's your best trick. That's funny.
That would only work on
It
you.
could it could happen.
I feel like it would only work on you legitimately if you didn't know the person.
Yeah.
Because you'd know if someone,
Yeah.
yeah, you know if someone's good at a trick or not,
Yeah.
relatively. But if it was somebody you didn't know,
Yeah. I
you
feel
get
like yeah,
I know what I'm doing if me and Kevin
definitely.
play each other next weekend.
Oh my God. See, this is why I didn't want to say it. But like, I've been like, like aware of this for some time now. So I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you
Mhm.
also you said you kind of know players' ticks.
Mhm.
What are can you expose some?
Uh, Going against Kevin, like, he like does this like, hand thing where like, like
Um,
he like takes a deep breath and then like he also like makes a fist and
hmm.
like, opens his hand a little bit. Um, that's one very identifiable one. Um, hmm.
Hmm.
Besides that though, like it has to be in the moment because I tend to remember it in the moment. But like for people that I tend to go against frequently, like I'm like, oh, I forgot he does this. So yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I know like both like I've analyzed a few of your guys' matches, like, like when it comes down to like the moment, like whether it's like match point or whatnot, like you guys do take, another second. So like it's just like very interesting to
Yeah.
see that. You
Yeah.
guys do take your time as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mm.
Okay, cool. That's like another level I feel
Yeah.
like of analyzation. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I never talked to you about this before, so this is new.
Yeah.
It's really cool to hear the intricacies about this stuff.
It's really like anime like kind of level thing and like it's a bit nerdy, but like it's just like I can't like escape it. Like I notice things a lot.
Right.
So that's just like yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
how does your approach to competition, can you I know we've touched on probably aspects of it, but your approach to competition now, what's the
Mhm.
mindset going into like for example in EKC? This
Mhm.
yeah, or KWC. Or those are probably different.
Um Yeah, they're definitely like a little bit different. It really like depends on like the major, honestly. Like I have different mindsets for battle, cup, EKC, NACO. So like every one of them has like a different mindset. But I think like the common denominator is just like, like the best case scenario for me is like to podium and like the best case scenario for me is like, to like get to finals and win. But, like a bare minimum for me at every competition, no matter what, is top eight because like I keep like a tally of like my comp results and like no matter what, like if I get top eight, then like I'm putting it down. If I get top 16, then like I'm just like leaving it alone. So like I can forget it. But um I'll talk about Cup and EKC because those are the most recent. Um, EKC was really interesting because like, obviously like I won in 2022 and that's like, probably the best win I'm ever gonna get, unless like, I pop off sometime in the next few years or whatever. But um I wanted to carry that momentum over into the next year, but I couldn't because of passport troubles. So it was very interesting, like, going this year and I'm like it's been a while and I really want to like do my best and like I had top eight in mind but like you know a podium would obviously be really dope but like I saw how stacked the competition was like it's like there's so many sleepers in Europe and like it was very heavily packed US scene going in there Japanese people going there so like I was a bit nervy. Um, and especially coming back like as a winner, like you have a little bit of something to prove. Like one of my worst fears is like winning a competition and then the next year like first round exit. Like
Mm.
and that's the way it goes sometimes for Kendama, but I would never want that to happen. So I want to like, keep like a baseline level. So that's why like, I like always expect top eight. And for Cup, like, I definitely want a top 10 because like I've been competing at Cup like online since like 2020 and so like I like every time like I've come really close to like that top 10 barrier like I've got 11th in 2021 and I got 14th last year so like I really wanted to do it because like top 10 you get called onto the stage
Mhm.
and like obviously that didn't happen so but like I always have like a minimum that I want to meet. So for Cup, it was to qualify, and then from then on out, I shift my focus to the next goal. So it's kind of like a ladder a little bit, and it's the same for like open competitions too. Like, okay, get the top eight. Once I get the top eight, okay, shift your mind. Like, try your best to like get to semifinals, finals, podium.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. What about freestyle?
Mm.
What are your expectations for freestyle going into that? You've definitely gotten a lot better within the freestyle realm.
Yeah, yeah, freestyle's interesting because like um yeah, like I've been doing it more, and obviously I got third at battle this year, which was like really dope. But like it's different, like doing a small freestyle competition versus like like a major, um, like battle. NACO, like there's obviously more people in battle being like invitation only. Like you kind of like know what to expect a little bit because like it's the same kind of people getting like invited because they're just so good. So like if you keep up, you obviously have a gauge of their play style. So it's kind of just like, my like like my examination technique where I'm just like, okay, I know this person like is really good at stalls and spikes and whatnot and juggles and like doesn't really do a lot of tech stuff. So like I like try to um compensate a little bit for like, whatever like the other person has. Like I just try to like increase the amount of like tech or whatever just to like try and like get another factor. But
Hmm.
for freestyle, like I guess like the expectation too is to get top eight as well. But like depending like if it's a smaller competition, I feel like I have an easier time podiuming. I feel like I need to compete more at like major freestyle competitions to like get a gauge of like, how like it actually is. But yeah, I say like that's how I am for freestyle.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So top eight expectations for both styles of competition, and
Mhm.
then goal for KWC is that top 10 spot. And then even at
Yeah.
EKC, like the most stacked bracket, you're still looking at it like, all right, I want at least top eight, if not a podium for
Hmm.
so the mind. So
Hmm.
the approach
Yeah.
now is has definitely evolved to you have like high standards for yourself, and you are continuing
Hmm.
to meet those standards,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I mean, yes, hearing your comp story from the beginning of this conversation where you said, yeah, I first like exit in the pretty early on the speed ladder for intermediate. Now you're consistently doing performing at this level
Hmm.
in the pro level. So
Yeah.
that's quite a development there.
Hmm.
What is
Like I think like just in the back of my mind, like I definitely want to win a major again, especially like an American one, just because like, it's the home crowd and like, there's always so many people that turn out.
Hmm.
So like that's always like gonna be in the back of my mind is like, small wins feel good, but like it's the majors what we like really, really look forward to, you know.
yeah? What what is your what would your what tips have helped you a lot in open division? I mean, you have your own routine, you stick the same routine every
Hmm.
single time, but practice wise
Hmm.
for these competitions, because that's a huge part of it, putting the reps in. What are some
Yeah.
tips you can give to players that have worked really well for you for open and freestyle?
Mhm. Um, I think like the most like impactful tip for me from open was like comes from Liam because like I really didn't have like a routine until like I talked to him about it, but he like started the whole like do every trick 3 times for me. Like
Hmm.
that's when I started like, getting the reps in. Like I didn't do every single trick down the list 3 times in a row until like I met him. So, that like kind of changed like how I practice for open for sure. So like definitely get those reps in and like the more you practice, like, the more the hours go by, you would have hit the like, those tricks, tens, hundreds of times. And like, you have that muscle memory in the back of your mind once you pull the trick. Um, Freestyle, like I'm looking to change it a little bit just because, I'm just trying to make it a little bit more like efficient and like lately it hasn't been working as well. But like I have like a list of like tricks that I always try to do, and like I call them like kind of like must do's. Like I have to like do at least like 3 of those like tricks from my list. And so like, I start out with first trick that like I want to like make sure I do. And then like continue freestyling, whatever, and then like I somehow link it to the next trick that I like make sure I know like that I need to do. And then hopefully like I hit the last one. But like it's getting those like mental milestones for freestyle. Like you can't like for me, I it's really hard to go like a complete freestyle. Like I need some sort of baseline. I need some sort of like rubric to go off of. So those like that list of tricks that I have on my phone, like I look at it for like every single match and I'm like, okay, like it'd be nice to hit this trick and this trick and this trick. And that's how I frame like all of my freestyle runs.
Hmm.
Mm.
So so
Mhm.
likely you start out with a trick you can do, maybe freestyle flow a little bit, kind of
Yeah.
come in maybe one more at the end,
Hmm.
structure like that, or
Yeah. Like it Yeah, it's kind of just like, like hit this, okay, like whatever happens here, like is, all right. And then like, somehow get to this and then whatever happens and then
Hmm.
end off with a banger.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely used to be the same. I mean, I wouldn't say I've changed too much, but I definitely always like to go in with a trick that I know I'm gonna hit, just start off my momentum,
Yeah.
and then after
Mhm.
that, see what
Yeah.
happens. And then usually if I
Mhm.
can, because I've noticed that the last final seconds are pretty crucial. They leave an impression.
Yeah.
So you get like the banger
Mhm.
in the last 5 seconds or a buzzer beater.
Of
The
course.
crowd
Yeah.
tends to go wild and things like that. So usually if I can
Mhm.
think of something to hit within the last, couple seconds, it's great too. But
Mhm.
yeah, I usually always go in with like one or two tricks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's always start off with a banger and then end off with a banger. Like, and then whatever happens in between, like, is just like a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the pure freestyle. And then the outline you're following is from
Yeah.
basically the first and last trick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then for
But
open,
that new, like, oh, sorry. Like, that new, like, format that they introduced at Cup, I don't think that's for me, honestly. I think I'm not gonna do great at that just because I
Mhm.
miss a lot for freestyle.
mm,
Yeah.
that is an
Yeah.
interesting concept they came up with. I think it's exciting to
Mhm.
watch, but it's tough. It's
Yeah.
really hard because it's like, all right, once you miss, you're done. It's like, okay, that's pretty high
Mhm.
stakes of what to do.
It's catered towards the Japanese players for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
honestly, I think it might be good for entertainment,
Hmm.
but for judging
Mhm.
for like a full real skill, like freestyle, I mean, don't get me wrong, not missing has requires a lot of skill and saving it. It's a lot of skill in itself, but
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious on whether it's geared more towards entertainment or crowning a true freestyle champion. Um, the stakes
Mhm.
definitely change, right? Because you can't miss or else you're done. But
Yeah.
lots to be learned with that format as well. I mean, we've never even seen it yet, really, like officially.
Yeah.
So, and I heard
Mhm.
the next that's going to be implemented in the next freestyle competition, which is going to be next year in November. So,
Yeah.
still a long ways away.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And then for open division, you like to run through tricks 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and, like, big thing that, like, I see, like, a lot of more people do is, like, shadowing, basically, like, looking at, like, whatever matches on stage, and then, like, whoever pulls the trick, they do that trick. I've been doing that so much, and it's, like, pretty helpful because it is a great transition from being on the ground to, like, going on stage. Because like, I don't like having, like, any lull um in the between that time. Like I want to make sure that like I'm ready from the moment that like they call my name from like watching from the spectators. So that's why like I always show up like I'm right by the stage like 5 6 matches before, just so that like like I'm not caught off guard like somewhere else. Like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so shadowing is a really big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shadowing.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. What have been, in your pro model video, you did touch on, I like how the pro model video of yours is kind of like a story. It's broken up into
Mhm.
sections. Um
Yeah.
they're called movement. What?
Yeah,
Okay.
movements, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, movements. Yeah. And one of the I think it might have been the second one that you described your come up in the kind of decision for you to go pro, and it was a pivotal moment in competition for you. I believe
Mhm.
it was a TKO speed ladder. But then I thought it was
Yeah.
cool how
Mhm.
that was like the pivotal moment, but then like the sick moment, like the biggest win of your life came afterward,
Yeah.
highlighted too.
Right?
So,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so you going pro was already decided for TKO. Actually, you know what? Can we just talk about Can you just go over that story for us real quick about how that kind of whole thing
Yeah.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah. So like um kind of like 2019, 2020, I was like, okay, like I really want to shoot for pro. Like it's always been a dream of mine and whatnot. So, like kept up like consistently posting like even through COVID, like, releasing edits and whatnot. Um, we obviously didn't have like, competitions in person. So like I did my best to like try and get like the best results I could online. But Chad and Kevin, they kind of said the same thing. Like you just need some kind of like breakout moment. And like that applies that it's a very vague term depending on the person. That breakout moment could be like a huge comp win or a really like amazing edit that comes out or just like, like just a mental like switch knowing that like you have like matured and like you are ready for pro. And like for me like I kind of just like I didn't know it, like I didn't know what that was for me. Like I thought in my mind I kept thinking that it was like a really dope edit, and so like I made a lot of edits back then, but I guess that wasn't it. So, it's funny, like the moment like I stopped kind of like obsessing over it, like it just kind of naturally happened on its own when in-person competitions returned, like TKO 2021. That was like a really dope competition. Like it was my first time going to Chattanooga, seeing Alex and Chad's place. Like I went with Kevin and our homie Aaron, and it was just a really nice trip overall. And I really didn't know what to expect at all. Like I love speed ladders. That's like my kind of competition. So I went in with like pretty like good vibes, and then it was me and Alex in the finals, and like it was like that was like my first time going against Alex, and ended up coming out on top, and that was like like that was my first comp win as a sponsor player. Like I've gotten podiums before then, but that was my first like win as a sponsor player. And then literally like Kev and Chad, they looked at each other from like across the room, and they're like, "Pro, pro." So from that moment, that's when they decided. And then Nako was still online that year, so Chad and Alex and Lyndon, they came to Vegas for Nako. But I didn't know that it was also going to be like the time that they were going to like announce me for pro. Um, but we were like just jamming and stuff. Like the event concluded, and whatnot. And like Chad's like, "Oh yeah, like let's make sure like till we get a sole group team picture soon, like before we leave." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, for sure." And then so we got like we were like heading to like a silent place to like get a group picture. Like I literally thought nothing of it. Mags was there too, and he came along, and so Chad, like he was like, "Hey Calvin, like um I'm really proud of you lately, and I wanted to see if you wanted a GoPro." And he handed me like a GoPro Hero 10. What? Like where is this coming from? Like,
No way.
yeah, GoPro 10. Yeah. So I was just like, dude, Chad, like, thank you so much. Like, I thought that was like the end of it. I was like, still stuck on that. And then Chad repeated, like, no, Kelvin, like, do you want to go pro for Soul? And I was just like, literally, I was just like, holy shit. Like, I like freaked out and like, probably caused like a huge ruckus. And like, so that was like when Chad asked me to go pro, and like I'll never forget that day. Like a lot of tears were had between like, a lot of people, Kev included. It was a really great moment. And what's crazy is that like Mags recorded it. He's lost that footage. So like,
Oh.
yeah. Like I really wish that I could like rewatch that moment. Like there's pictures of it, but the footage is like long gone, sadly. But yeah,
Hmm.
but that was the moment I
Oh,
got pro. Hit up
Wow.
Frazier the next month to design my mod, and that's how, that's how
yeah.
it's been.
So wait, so that was online NACO. You were like, all right, Kelvin, you're pro.
Yeah, it was like during that event. I got like top 32. I didn't do like too good at that NACO, but going pro obviously made up
And then
for
you
it.
got announced a year later.
I got announced a year later at like 2022. Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
And did you get to keep the GoPro?
Yeah, no, I still have it,
Nice. Okay.
of course. Yeah. So like that's what I've been recording like all my POV clips with is like that GoPro.
That's
So
sick.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Okay.
What?
Hmm.
That's such a cool story. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and then yeah, I was wondering you talked about that moment. I was like, where was this? Where was this in the pro video? Where was this footage?
Yeah, I think we did talk about it, but we did like trim a lot just for like the sake of like the narrative for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the edit.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'll always love telling that story.
yeah. And
Mhm.
and what was more? I mean, what felt? I mean, you went TKO, and that was the kind of the moment that Chad and Kevin decided, like, yeah. But I mean, what was the most impactful competition experience you've had? Would you say it's EKC, or would you say it's
It's probably EKC.
yeah,
It's
Mm.
probably EKC for sure.
yeah,
Like that was like I wanted my first time to go international for kendama to be cup, but like cup just kept on getting like put off. Like I was going to go in 2020, and like, the Olympics for that year, and obviously COVID happened, so we couldn't
Yeah.
go 2021 online. 2022, like, it just like didn't have the funds, but like it was still like I still remember that trip so vividly, like just like landing in Amsterdam for the first time and like being in like a foreign country,
Mhm.
like apart from like North America's for the first time. So and like having like that weight lifted off my shoulders of like, wanting to become pro, I was just like, I can like literally let loose. There's literally no expectations at all. Like I can just like go for it, you know? And like I saw the trophies and how they looked like a few days before. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like podium get a trophy, Like that's like that was my motivation.
Mm.
Um, so but yeah, like the people that I met, like, that first time at EKC was really dope. And like it's very intimidating finding out that it was single elimination too, because like I was so used to like dub elim. But I was just like, okay, I just got to do my best. My first match was against Tom. That was really nervy, like, but that was like kind of like before he like found his footing, like in competition. And then, um, I don't remember like other matches after that, but I went against like some like European sleepers. Like I went against Timothée, I went against Flo from France. Um, like the semifinals match, I went against Davide, and that was like incredibly nervy. But like when I won against him, I was like, holy shit, I'm in the finals. And like I wasn't even like paying attention to who was like on the other side of the bracket. But like I remember watching that like pivotal, like I know I think you know what I'm talking about, Nick, but like that pivotal match between you and Josh and
I'm out.
like that 3-2. And like I think like if yeah, like you would have won that year if like you won that match against Josh. Like we were on opposite sides of the bracket, you know. So like going up against Josh, like I felt like I've never gone against him before, but like we'll just see what happens. But like lo and behold, like I
Yeah.
found it within me, and
Yeah.
that's what happens. So
That was an
Yeah.
epic
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
That was an epic
It's
win.
an epic one.
Unlike
mhm.
Nick's epic loss in the semi. But yeah, I feel for I love that moment in the pro model you win in the pro model video that you win. But I
Yeah.
also feel for Josh
Uh,
because it's literally like it's literally,
yeah.
I remember the first time I watched that video, and I'm like, dude, it's rough to be Josh right now. Him losing
I know.
that moment in slow mo with you commentating over it. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It's a great video though. It's a really fantastic video.
Yeah.
I will link it in the
Thank
description
you.
if someone hasn't seen it yet, or someone's got into Dama kind
Mhm.
of past 2022, for you guys to see.
Yeah.
It's a really well made video. But yeah, dude, I
Mhm.
mean EKC was a huge win, massive win for you, and
Mhm.
it's nice to hear you
Yeah.
talk about it because I mean that it's not every day that a person even podiums a competition or like even wins. I mean, really think about it. The amount of
Mhm.
players who actually won a competition are actually super slim. It's not because it doesn't really,
Yeah.
and for you to actually be here talking about winning one of the biggest competitions in the world, it's nice to hear
Mhm.
some background on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is real. It's interesting. Like it is the same like group of people if you think about it. It's like, you, Nick, Stowe has won like a decent amount of NACOs and has a, world championship under his belt. Like it is a very slim pool of people that have won like majors. So like to add my name into that is like really dope. And like for like Adrian to also add his name into that, like that was like really cool seeing that this year. Like
Yeah.
the winner of Open for like EKC every year has been very interesting because I won that first year and then Nobu won,
Oh
and
yeah,
then Adrian won. So a very interesting like group of like EKC Open winners, like not like your typical like people that you think would
Sure.
normally win.
yeah,
Yeah.
not the classic, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
that's a good observation point. Usually the same people win like Foul at the Border or something like this or like NACO, but for EKC,
Yeah.
definitely
Hmm.
diverse pool of winners there. So
Yeah.
that's a really good
Hmm.
point. Yeah, Kelvin. And what
Hmm.
about your? So we talked about the how you progress your competition. Have you done well? But I also want
Hmm.
to talk to you about. I know you want to touch on this. How you deal with outcomes that you're really not happy with. How you when you
Yeah.
meet the expectations that you put for yourself. You know, how do you deal
Mm.
with this, and what goes through your mind? What's your process for handling this situation?
I'm not gonna lie, like I still like need to get like better at that. Like, along with like that EKC win and like a ton of like really great podiums, like I've also had like some pretty crushing losses too. Like um it's tough, like because I've always had pretty high expectations for myself, like no matter what I do, whether it's kendama or life stuff or school stuff, it's always just like, it's just a part of like who I am. Um, um, Especially like this past cup, like that was like really crushing. And like I definitely need like everybody else does, like I need time to myself. I need to process, like what just happened, like and like I try not to play the what if, what could have happened, like, what should have happened game, because like you're just gonna like run yourself into like such a deep rabbit hole. But,
Mm.
I just need like a solid like 30 minutes to just like, like let it run through my system, and then I can like actually enjoy the competition again. But like one of my like most like crushing losses was when I went to Sakura Chicago last year.
Mm.
And like I remember practicing so much for that event. Like I think like that was like my first time I've ever like over practiced for an event. Like I like could do every single like trick 3 times in a row consistently, and just like I let it get to my head that like, since I have the tricks, it should translate into like me podiuming. But I think that is kind of bad if I do that. Like I can't go into every competition expecting to podium, Like I really have to like just take it how it comes. I like I never know what to expect, and like anything can really happen on that day. And literally like that day like was that I think that's my first ever time of getting like double eliminated. I lost to Joe Nelson. No, no. I went against Treble first round, lost against Treble. Treble's like a sleeper pick always for open, and then loses bracket went against Joe Nelson. Joe Nelson is also pretty good at open, and then yeah, back to back. But there is like like there are tears. There is like a lot of frustration, anger, and like it. I think I'm only 21, and I know that like uh the more years go by, the more I'll learn about myself. I'm still like constantly learning about like myself and how like I react to things. And so like I think that'll just come with time. But I think it's just like making sure that like I don't go into every competition expecting the best. Like I can't go into every competition expecting to win or podium. That's just not realistic. So like I really have to like embrace the like, you know, take whatever like comes at me, you know.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected. Like as Kevin, yeah, as Kevin says, like um expect the best and then prepare for the worst.
Hmm.
Mm.
So basically, what you're talking about is more of just embracing what's happening on the day of, and you said taking it as it is. And you said you don't want to expect to.
Yeah,
Now you're like, okay, I don't want to expect to make podium at every single event. What
yeah, yeah.
expectations you have, if any, of yourself?
Just for me, just like, if it's like a repeat competition, I want to do better than I did the year before. I think that's like a really good like baseline for me. Um, this last like cup, was especially like really like crushing, but like Kevin gave me a really good piece of advice, and it's just like even at cup, just like minimum expectations. I want to hit all my tricks. I want to hit my tricks. That does not translate into like, getting podium or top 10, but it's a really good baseline to hit. Like, just I want to hit all my tricks. And like if you have that, then like, you can ramp up your like what you want to do mentally from there. So I think like next year, um, I know I can do it. I did it 2 years in a row, like last year and this year, like qualifying. So like I definitely think that like, next year, like I just really have to go in with no expectations. And I think that's why I did so good last year, is because I really did not know what to expect. And, I almost got full marks.
Mm.
So like really just yeah, no expectations next year for sure.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. So kind of lowering
Hmm.
the expectations and kind of focusing on more stuff you can really measure yourself. Like, because you it sound like, yeah, expectation. I want to get top 10. I want to get, top three at these open events, but kind of sounds, for
Yeah,
next for KWC, you're just going to focus on things you can control, which is really the
yes,
the tricks that you're doing yourself, that you're setting for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Awesome. And you did touch on over practicing. What do you think is over practicing? When have you when does a player reach that threshold, or when have you reached that threshold?
Like I think like Sakura last year was definitely um like definite over practicing because like for me like it's always good to like touch up on the tricks like bare minimum every other day, but like for that for some reason that competition like I had like so much free time and I was like doing it every day for like a lot of hours and like I was practicing with Mia during that time. Mia lives like, super close to me.
Yeah.
So like I was practicing with her and just like, getting in so many like practice rounds and whatnot. And like that was just like the only thing on my mind. It's just like, like because I like practice so much and I put in like all those hours, I was just like, like that should translate into good result, right? And like so now like I kind of just like, um there needs to be like a really good balance, like I got to make sure that I do practice and like, I'm like not n neglecting the tricks, but at the same time like, I'm not like putting all of my time into it, like I still have like life obligations outside of kendama, so I feel like that's a really good balance of making me not like over practice as much. And I feel like, so far practicing for Atlanta, it's been pretty good. Like I've been like, like pretty chill about it, like just running through the tricks like in a casual manner, not getting like too angry at myself if I can't you know, like do it like 3 times in a row, especially the top 8 tricks. So yeah.
Top eight tricks are really hard for Atlanta. They are
They are
super
so hard. They're so yeah. I've actually kind of adopted like a new like practice technique kind of for this top 8 because like like I've talked to you guys about like like comp so much in the past and like something like you said Zach is just like just getting better at those top 8 tricks, like getting good at the non-top 8 tricks, only get you so far, but like when you get unprepared for the top 8 then like that's all you're gonna go. That's all like the highest you're gonna go. So for
yeah.
me, I haven't been doing every trick 3 times in a row. I've just been like, I start from the top of the list and I go down to the bottom, and it's just like rather than just like building that muscle memory, I'm just building like the experience. So like,
Yep.
doing every trick like, down the line like has kind of been like pretty helpful, because I'm actually like having fun with the tricks a bit and like it's not as stressful as like hitting it 3 times in a row and like I feel like for like pretty hard tricks like like trip can jug trip can like I can get that trick like once every like 10 tries, but like the point of me grinding that trick 3 times in a row, because I know that's going to take me like an hour or two, and I would have spent an hour or two grinding on that
Yep.
trick 3 times in a row when I
Yep.
could have just spent that time getting the experience for the other tricks, and just like, getting like the comfortability up for those tricks. So
Yeah.
that's like, I've kind of changed my approach to that and like, for a battle next year, hopefully like I can yeah, like adopt that as well.
Hmm.
Mm.
I like what you said there. It kind of just identifying where is best to allocate your time. Like really
Yeah.
knowing,
Of cour-
taking into consideration multiple factors. How much time you're giving yourself to practice, how much time out there is to an event. It's like what's really worth.
Yeah.
How is how can I
Hmm.
spend my time the best way possible to get me as covered as I can for this competition, and what you touched on
Hmm.
is great because that's so true. It's like if you're going to trick out 1 out of 10 times and you're trying to really master it to where you can get it, maybe once or a couple times, 3 times in a row, then
Yeah.
that could be a lot of hours where you could have spent allocating towards all the other strengths, getting a way wider
Mhm.
net of comfortability instead of just
Yes,
bring your
yes.
weakest point up to, where it's still weaker than your like a mid trick that you already know you can do.
Mhm.
That's like
Yeah,
the yeah.
definitely, yeah. It's like the jack of all trades is like, a master of none,
Right.
But
Mm,
like, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I think it's interesting. Like we talked to Miguel about practice strategies too, and he was just like, "Yeah, I think three times
Mhm.
in a row is pretty boring. I don't really have a lot of fun with that, so I kind of just use
Yeah.
randomizer and just do it that way."
Mm,
I think a pretty like I think enjoyment in practice is a pretty big factor. So just as long as you are spicing it up and like what
yeah,
you touched on right there, you're like, yeah, I'm actually having fun when practicing this trick. I think that's huge. I
yeah.
think that's massive
Mhm,
because
mhm.
the time's gonna pass, and if it's passing by really fast, I think it's a good point. That's a good signifier that you're really enjoying it. I think you're taking more in. You're learning more when you're enjoying it. So I think
Yeah,
that's.
definitely.
Mhm.
Mhm,
What have your been your I want to know, you've been playing for about 10 years now, and or
mhm.
are you officially at 10 years or almost?
November 22nd is 10 years.
Okay.
So a few more months.
Yeah, coming
Mhm,
up on 10. Who have been
yeah.
your main inspirations throughout the years, and then who are they right now?
Mm, that's really interesting. Um, I guess like a big thing is like, like what is an inspiration to me is like, for me is like how they have defined my play style. So really, really like influential people, like I'd say like a year or two or like since like I started have been like Frazier.
mm,
Frazier's always been like I love like his play style. Um Ben Harold, like Fringe Case, like absolutely like changed the game. You know, I watched that edit so many times. Um let's see who else. Like, just like if they were like a tech player, like, they definitely like, inspire me a ton for sure.
mm,
Um I gotta give a shout out to Dave, like back then like string flow and spacewalk flow was like a huge part of my play style and it is like now a little bit too, like I spacewalk for fun. Dave definitely like, inspired that aspect and um also just like mentality wise too, just like the never giving up aspect and chasing dreams. That was
mm,
really influential back then.
mm.
Um, yeah, definitely Kev, just like getting to know him,
Yeah.
of course. But nowadays, like it's really interesting. It's kind of shifted a lot. I really like the one of the biggest people now is like Alex.
Mhm.
Like me and Alex have like such a great dynamic when it comes like going to competitions and whatnot. Like Cup this year and last year, like we were like just, together a lot, practicing like, runs for like hours on end and just like, like I feel like we fuel each other really well, which is really dope. It's really nice like having like someone like, like as a foil to you. I feel like Alex is that for me. Like he is like for me, like, obviously he's like better than me in like a lot of different ways, like play style wise and whatnot. But like, it's like it's a it's very encouraging like playing with him for sure. It's definitely like really inspirational.
Mm,
Um, other than that, like, it's really interesting. Wyatt, like last year, like Wyatt went on like a really crazy like comp run, especially at like the smaller competitions, and like just like seeing his like consistency all throughout, like for playing like for so many years, and like for being like so consistent at like the tricks that he does in freestyle is pretty great. And like I think people need to acknowledge that more, that like he is like one of the best in the game, like still, it's crazy. Like
mm,
we like give a lot of like spotlight to like the tricks that the Japanese players do, like Takuya, Maharu, Ryoga, but like it's just like that like meaty, like down to earth like tech, like not as many maneuvers, just like I feel like that like really is what Wyatt's like play style is, and it's really dope to see like how like
mm,
he's kind of like stuck with that throughout his entire career, but like also like kind of has evolved it into like the modern age.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah.
definitely. I remember exactly what you're talking about. He was winning a lot of freestyle competitions in 2023, I think. So, and yeah,
Yeah.
he also won the NAKO 2022 freestyle. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so consistent with what he does. So it's really respectable. I
hmm
know a lot of it kind of can get old, but also and looking at it from a different lens, just the fact that he's able to land it every single time is pretty
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's something that anybody can do.
hmm
So yeah,
hmm
no, I'd have to agree. So right now, your inspirations more recently in recent years is just Alex, Wyatt, maybe Kev.
Yeah.
You and Kev still have a great relationship.
Kev still, yeah. Um, yeah, because like comp is like kind of taken over as like a big priority for me. Like, if you're a really good competitor, then like, it's like it is inspiring in a way, like
Yeah.
not not just like, like very impactful, but just like, seeing these people like compete and whatnot is like, really cool and like it pushes me to like do better. Like definitely like obviously like Miguel has been like, killing it. Like I think he's gotten the most like podiums out of like everybody this year and like traveling to competitions and like, literally catching red eyes, like, flights the day of to go to competition and leave. Like I think that's like really dope. And I think like we need more people like that in order for like the competitive scene of Kendama to like really get to the next level, get to that like, like higher level where we can have like, hundreds of people turn out for like open and freestyle, that is like the goal at the end of the day. Yeah. So
Mhm.
Miguel has been like, really like pushing the game like competitive wise for sure.
He said he wanted to play you again. He's stoked. He's stoked to try and play you
Yeah.
in TLO.
Yeah. Like
You guys played before and I think you beat him?
yeah, so the last time I went against him was at SoCal Royale. It was like an event that Danny threw in San Diego. So I beat him and in open. So that was like really dope because that was like my first like open win in a little bit. And then he got the get back at me in freestyle. So he won against me in freestyle. But
Okay.
my record before that was at California Kendama Cup last year. I think like he knocked me out. Like I was in like top 8 and then like he knocked me out. So like I definitely wanted like revenge. So that was really good revenge getting against him. So
Okay.
I've been like
Yeah.
unintentionally ducking the comeback because like like there's so many competitions where like I could have gone where like he's gone, but it's just like life stuff has been like really ramping up this year, so like I haven't been afforded the opportunity to go to as many competitions as I would like to this year, but I
Yeah.
think it's okay. But I'm excited to go against him hopefully in Atlanta.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
sweet. Well, we'll need
Um,
some
yeah,
footage of that, Zach.
I got
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
I'll
Oh my
record.
God.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great weekend.
Yeah.
That's really close. It's really
hmm
literally next weekend. So
hmm
yeah, and
Yeah. I love Atlanta. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
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 Sorry. Yeah.
For no, yeah, I was gonna ask you, what's your so obviously we talked about comp earlier about how you're I mean it's a goal of yours. I know you say you don't have any expectations to make top three really, but I obviously it's not like you're
Mhm.
shooting for less than at any event, right? Like in
Yeah.
respect.
No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but any future goals you have? What are your future goals for the rest of 2024 and also into 2025? Maybe it could be with comps, tricks, stuff you want to do in Dom as well. I know we haven't touched on this yet, but you also design Damas and merch for Souls.
hmm Yeah. Um, yeah, that's really good you touched up on that. Like, so I want to talk about that first. Like
Yeah.
this year, I feel like I've been really like fulfilled design wise a little bit more than like Kanama wise. Like I just like that's what I'm going to school for and like, just being able to like execute my like, my graphic design skills for like different brands and whatnot has been like really dope. Like obviously like you guys were like
Yeah.
one of my first like commissions so far this year, designing the new Gallagher Kanama logo. I designed a little something for Locked that will hopefully be coming out soon, and then obviously Ryoga's Champ mod. I got that done. So it's been really fulfilling, and like, it's what I've been wanting for like me career wise in like the past year. Like I've been like leveling up my game and design, so like it's been really nice to see that flourish. But competition wise, like this year, like at the beginning of this year, like I set like, some goals, and like I've really only met one of them, which is like podium at a major, and I got third place at battle, which is really nice. And like, like that really meant a lot to me because that was like my first podium at a US major, but also like my first um like really good result at battle, my sponsor's event. So it was really nice to like see that happen. But I'm pretty sure like if Pop Swag does not happen, which I hope it does happen. But Atlanta's going to be my last event of the year until like battle next year. I'm not going to NACO, sadly. So
What?
I really want to like, yeah, I know. I haven't
Wait,
told a lot of people this, but
what the heck?
yeah,
Wait, why?
yeah. Like it's me and my girlfriend's like 2 year anniversary that
Oh,
month, and then like there's a concert that I really really want to go to, and it's on the first day of NACO, and it's just like I feel like that's like I've been to enough NACOs, and I'm just like, like when's the next time is this artist gonna like
yeah,
tour and
yeah.
perform in Vegas? So like I really don't want to miss out on like this opportunity,
Nice.
but next year for sure,
Nice.
like I'll be coming.
Okay, for sure. Okay.
I think. But definitely like yeah, obviously the goal is to like, do good at Atlanta. Podium would be nice, win would be nice. But for like next year and the future, next year I really want that like get back at Cup. Like, I'm gonna like definitely push myself a little bit more, and hopefully like, yeah, we
Yeah.
saw like how the borderline was like
Yeah.
during that like those crazy freaking 90,
Yeah.
so like I really, yeah, I really, yeah, I really want to like I really want to get that like top 10 like in the back of my mind,
Mm.
like I feel like I'm still so young, and like, there's I don't want to say like my time's running out, but like, like the older I get, like who knows like how like my body is going to progress, and like, how like my skill is going to progress. So like, I want to take advantage of like how good I'm feeling now, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Mm.
And then yeah, just like obviously like more podiums at American majors, but like in the back of my mind, like I really want like another major win, whether that be another EKC win, a NACO win, a battle win. Like I think that'd be like amazing. Like I'd be like really happy with another major win. Just like, you know, obviously like the feeling you get like winning a major out of like any other competition is just like unlike any other. So for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
100%.
yeah. Well, we're gonna be behind you in all your pursuits for competition wise, and of course KWC and Baltimore as well. It's a bummer you're not going to NACO, but I totally
Thank
understand.
you.
I totally
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
That seems like a really packed month, and
Mm.
who is the artist that's coming?
Rex Orange County.
Great,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
So his
Awesome.
really his album's coming out soon. So like yeah, hopefully like, like uh it's great. So me and her can go see it. So I'm really looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
yeah.
Mm.
Rex Orange County had a
Mm.
great album release when Nick and I were freshmen in college, so
Yeah.
I used to play that all the time. It was probably his lot. Pluto Projector was on
Yeah,
it.
what Pony, yeah. It was a really good album. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So has he come out with one since then or no?
Uh, he came out with the album called Who Cares, and that was like I went to his concert last year, and that was like my first concert that I ever went to. So yeah, and then his next album's coming out September 6th, and it's called like The Alexander Technique. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
let's go.
Mhm.
It's gonna be awesome. I
Mhm.
used to think Rex Orange County was like a group, and then I was just like, oh my God,
Yeah,
it's one person. Is it a group?
just one dude. It's
Okay,
just
yeah,
one dude. Yeah, it's
okay,
just
yeah,
yeah, Alex.
yeah. I
Mhm.
just by the name and all everything that's going on in his songs, I'm like, wow, that's just like a
Mhm.
ton of people. But I was like, okay, it's just one
Yeah.
dude. Okay.
Mhm. I'm
Yeah,
still gonna be watching Neko though for sure. Like I'm
okay,
still
cool.
gonna be like keeping up with the bracket and everything. Like I'm gonna be like watching watching for sure.
Yeah.
Who do you think's gonna get podium this year? Well, if you're not gonna be there, then who's gonna
Yeah.
who's gonna be up there?
That's really interesting. I really want to see like who from Japan, if anybody from Japan is coming. I think that'd be really interesting
Yeah.
to see because I think they could shake things up. But yeah, I think
Haru's good.
Alex, you know, Maharo's going. Yeah, yeah, like I think he has a good chance, especially like
Yeah.
freestyle too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I think Alex has a really good chance. Like he's been doing like great at comp this year, So and he has a podium or I think he I think he has a podium or two for Nico under his belt. So I really want to see him take down the win. I think Miguel can also do it too, like his like first major win. I think that'd be like really dope. Like
Yeah.
are you guys going? Zach and
Yeah.
Zach,
We're
you're
gonna
going for
go.
We're
sure,
gonna
right?
go. I don't know if I'm
You
gonna
guys go?
compete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We're gonna
I think yeah. If you guys yeah, I think you guys like, are always like up for like grabs for the win, like any competition. So for sure, like you guys.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. Competition results this year have been like very, very interesting. So I'm like it's very interesting to see like who takes it down.
Yeah.
I have
Mm.
no idea for freestyle, honestly. I could not, give a guess for freestyle. But for open, one of those people for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks again for the design on the logo. It's awesome, and you
No
really
worries.
love the
Thank you.
design. You
Thank you.
mentioned that you put a lot of work in. What are some? This is
Hmm.
just a question from Instagram too. But what are some else of your
Yeah.
hobbies? 'Cause you mentioned design, but I know you have a few
Yeah.
more.
Hmm. Like I've been climbing like pretty consistently, like once a week, since like last year. So that's also been like, a really great hobby. Like I kind of carried that like spirit from kendama into that. So it's just really cool. And like, obviously I'm just trying to get like physically a little bit better. So like, it's a really great workout as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's and I've been like getting more and more into like cooking and whatnot for sure.
Mm.
So cooking's like always been like great hobby of mine. I haven't played disc golf since EKC, but I'm gonna play again once we go to Atlanta. But disc golf, I've been playing it for 3 years this year. So
Wow.
besides that though, like small stuff, like I've really been uh like fashion stuff, like I like whenever I go to Japan, I'm a freak. I spend like out. I'm a freak, dude. When I go to Japan, I spend like outrageous amounts on food and clothes. Holy hell.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
freak. I'm a
I'm gonna
freak.
agree with who clothes.
For real.
Place to do it.
Yeah.
That's the place to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
okay, yeah. So yeah, cooking. I know you do photo too, right?
Yeah, like film photography here and there, and like so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, you really I mean I see I think you post about I see you post about climbing for sure, but I see you post about probably cooking the most.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
great to see that. I'm like the opposite. I'm like the
Yeah.
I cooking I definitely appreciate it, but I just am a person who does the bare minimum. So it's nice to see you put like
Yeah.
all in, you
Hmm.
actually post about this stuff because I'm just like that's
Yeah.
epic. And
Hmm.
yeah, I know you love food too. And actually, I definitely wanted to touch on this, but the whole Japan trip. I
Hmm.
mean, you said
Yeah.
yourself like you put a lot of emphasis on food in these trips, and I know you
Hmm.
went to some omakase sushi, and I would love to
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
real quick about give some time for you to detail your recent Japan trip because it seemed like you had an epic trip.
Yeah. No, it was like a fantastic trip. Like I was there like for a shorter amount of time than last year. Last year I was there for 2 weeks, and this year I was only there for like about like 9, 10 days or so.
Mm.
But like as always, like I love like meeting up with like the team in Japan. It was like Lyndon's first time in a while. It was Gino's first time in Japan, so that was like really great. You guys were there obviously, so like we had a great time. But like I wanted to like yeah, just like I did like Uber and then Uber Eats and DoorDash to like save up the money just to like, so I can be able to like enjoy myself a little bit out there. Like I felt like in the past Japan trips, I didn't really like explore as much food wise. So
Mm.
like I really wanted to go all out. So yeah, like I went to that omakase dinner with Gino. That was really great experience. Like we showed like the whole entire restaurant, like kendama. Like we have a video too.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, that was really great. And uh, I also like so the whole team went to Tokyo after Cup, and like I since I flew out in and out of Osaka, so like I stayed in that area for 2 days. So with that, like I had the chance to go to Kyoto for a day, and I met up with Clay, his girl, and Connor, and like we like had a chill day, ate at a really dope like Italian restaurant, like that was there, like really great like steak. So yeah, that was really dope. But yeah,
Mm.
and like just a really great trip throughout. Like I felt very fulfilled, like food wise, or like other like small food here and there, like a really great yakiniku. After like we ate like after cup, that was really great with everybody, and like fashion wise too, like just finding my own sense of fashion. Like as of late, so like I went to like um the Parco in Osaka, and like just like got a few pieces here and there that like I've been wearing ever since I got back. So yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it seemed like an awesome trip. I was there with you, and I was looking at what you were posting. I'm like, this
Hmm.
is sick, and you're
Yeah.
like right across from me.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, he's having a
Yeah.
great time. He's also right there. For me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Awesome to see you there, and
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm looking forward to
Hmm.
next year already. It's going to be great. What would you
Same.
say is your favorite country to visit out of the ones you've been to in Dama? It,
Probably Japan. Like
okay,
definitely Japan for
okay,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
wondering if you're going to
Yeah.
say Netherlands or something.
Yeah.
No. No. The Netherlands is nice, but like come on, like Japan is like Japan.
Japan, Japan. Yeah,
Japan's it's a nice
it's
country.
Japan
really.
is Japan.
It's a nice.
Yeah. Hmm.
I have I'm looking at the questions we got from Instagram. We've basically touched on every single one that I have. I mean, we had a great conversation so
Hmm.
far. This one person asks, fave trick or a fave trick line that you ever currently. That's it.
Uh, it like changes, like depending on like the season and whatnot. Like, but right now, like I've really been messing with like the inward tosses to inward lunar, just because
Hmm.
like for some reason I just got so good at those like after cup.
Mhm.
So like I'm gonna try and like hit your KFC trick Nick from like a few years ago. That trip inward lunar,
Oh yeah.
flip inward, flip
Yep.
inward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
2019. Yeah, level 12.
mhm.
Yeah, that's a good
So
one.
that trick's been like really dope, like to get good at. So that's been my favorite trick recently.
Yep.
Hmm.
Let's go.
Yep. Nice. And then I've got a couple Instagram questions as well. This one from Danny, Lock Studios.
Hmm.
Thought process
Yeah.
for coming up with new tricks.
Ooh, that's it. So like I feel like recently like it's kind of just like it's been really random. Like it could hit me like while I'm doing homework or like eating or whatever, but like sometimes like I just like think of a trick at like the most randomest time. Like if I try to force it, for me it just comes out like really unnaturally, and like I'm not as inclined to do it. So I feel like it's just like whatever uh, my mind is doing like on the time and day, and like so yeah, like I feel like it really depends, but it's very random, and but I do take a lot of inspiration from like Instagram clips and like edits and
Yeah.
whatnot, and like just taking all that in.
Right. Strokes of inspiration at
Hmm.
I see.
Hmm.
And then another question from Sosuke, um, in
Hmm.
Tokyo, I think. How do you grow your
Uh-huh.
concentration? I'm impressed with yours when you're on stage. What they said. How do you
Ooh,
get better your concentration ability?
I think like the best answer for that is just because like I've been to so many competitions now, like I know what to expect. Like I know like the nervousness feeling that I get in my stomach every time like I go on stage to compete. So like it's really just like, like that is my home zone. Like that is like where I focus the best is like, you know, when there is like pressure. So like just being in more high pressure situations like that, like has like I guess like, you know, all obviously like improved my competition experience, but also just like has made me less susceptible to like nerves and shaking and like just
Mm.
feeling like, you know, nervous overall.
Yeah. I'd
Mhm.
100% agree with you. Just get exposing yourself to higher stakes situations. We've heard that a lot of
Yeah.
actually about people we've been interviewing lately. Just getting yourself exposed
Mhm.
to more uncomfortable situations, maybe in front of crowds,
Yeah.
or be kendama or not. Just get yourself out there in the public or do something that's outside of your comfort zone. It tends to
Mhm.
translate not only for us
Yeah.
but for other players as well. So it's good to hear you say that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's
For
been a
sure.
fun few we've been seeing recently. That's all the questions on our end, Kelvin. I think we've had an amazing conversation so far. Touched on a lot of
Mhm.
topics, and I think a
Yes.
lot of people are going to take a great value away from this. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we haven't talked about yet before we wrap up?
I don't think so. No, but I do have something in the works for battle. I think
Oh,
There we
that's
go.
yeah.
okay. Battle at the Border 2025. You can't
Yeah.
miss it because
Mark your
Kelvin's
calendars.
got something.
Mark your calendars. Mark
Yeah.
your calendars.
Yeah.
Wow. What is it?
So I'm very I'll tell you guys after. I'll tell you guys after.
Okay,
But yeah.
you stop recording.
It's something. It's something.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Exciting.
so
Well,
stoked on it.
thank you so much for joining us today and making the time to have this conversation with us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Loved it.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Calvin. Well, thanks for listening, guys. All you guys listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
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 Peace.